I haven't come into the debate except that we wanted North Queensland, 1 million people living in North Queensland. We wanted to be quarantined, and the government would not give us quarantining. And in fact, they sent 5 cases with public servants sent up to North Queensland. So really the only incidence of COVID we've ever had was foisted upon us by the Queensland government. And they refused totally to give a very isolated area. North Queensland's like Tasmania. We're completely cut off. So that's my only comment I'd make.
Okay, it's a tough time for everyone there. Businesses have to shut down, and of course, devastating for veterans who are going to march in the Anzac Day march tomorrow, and they can't do that.
I got word this morning that only 5,000 people are allowed to march on Anzac Day, and there's 80,000 allowed to go to the football. If there are people in this state intending to vote for that government that made that decision, then they're not Australians. And you better look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, are you really an Australian? Because I would say that no Australian would ever agree with that decision, that a football game was more important than the most sacred day that there is for we Australians.
What do you think is going to happen? Do you think that some veterans may actually boycott the Anzac Day march because of how upsetting this has been for them?
The way we've treated our veterans, the reason I'm down here in Melbourne, is such that we have one of them leaving the planet every 5 days. Our first Australian peoples, some people use the word Aboriginal, our first Australian people, there is one of them leaving every 7 days. Our farmers and farm workers, there's one of them leaving us every 3 or 4 days. Now, the 3 groups of people that our country should most honour and respect is our first Australians, our soldiers, and our farmers that provide us with food. And they are the 3 groups of people that are being treated so abominably that they decide just to leave the world rather than be in it. So that's what I'm down here. I'm going to be out there and hold up my Australian flag for what it's worth, and join Heston Russell, has done an absolutely marvellous job, and Jackie Lambie. And we organised this to force the government to have an inquiry. Well, we succeeded in forcing them to have the inquiry. I don't think they wanted an ugly anti-government demonstration today, and that was what was on originally.
Do you think that's a huge relief for so many veterans and their family that this inquiry will go ahead?
It is, and unfortunately, inquiries take the heat off. I mean, I wanted action, but all right, well, we got an inquiry. I suppose that's second best. But they have a very bad habit of resulting in nothing happening. We had the Fitzgerald inquiry in Queensland, which harmed government for generations, and 2 years later there were four ALP members of Parliament going to jail over corruption. So it didn't have any effect, not much.